Hey, yo, it's me, Pops Van Marmalade, and you're watching the Comics-Related Madness Network. Huh? So come get some. CromCon. CromCon.
Your favorite podcast, it's Critical Blast.
Hi, this is Tim TK, host of That Silverline Show on Tuesday. Join us at 11 p.m. Eastern, 8 p.m. Pacific every Tuesday night as we discuss pop culture and the joys of making comics.
And I'm Scott Wakefield, host of Silverline's Wednesday Wham, where we talk about comic books and all kinds of great storytelling, sometimes with incredible guests. And we want you to join us Wednesday nights from 8 to 9 p.m. Eastern. We'll see you there.
I'm Roland Mann, and I host Silverline's Silver Sunday. Join me every Sunday at 8 p.m. Eastern as we make mine Silverline.
Ladies and gentlemen, now presenting Some Show on Tuesday.
Names.
We have not yet found a name for our Tuesday show, so we will hopefully get that figured out.
That is the name. Some Show Tuesday.
Some Show on Tuesday. So
Mention up, that actually would be kind of a fun name, wouldn't it?
that would be, yeah,
Actually, no, that actually Some Show Tuesday.
Some Show on Tuesday. All right, so we'll put it on the list.
We'll put that on tentative title for now.
Yeah, yeah. First couple episodes, I should just bring up my corkboard and just staple like names of potential names to the show and see them up.
Right. Yeah, and put the votes beside them.
Yeah, exactly. So if you are watching this live, or if you come back in and watch the VOD later on through YouTube, Facebook, or Twitch, or even if you listen to the podcast, whenever that gets cut, if we don't have a show by then, if we don't have a show name by then, which, who knows, we may just never have a name, and that just may be the gag. Let us know what you think the name of our new Tuesday show should be. And you may be the name generator of our new show. I am the host and producer/seducer of the Tuesday show, Tim TK, also associate editor of Silverline and writer-creator of Wolf Hunter. Joining me today is Aaron Humphrey.
We don't have names up there, so you can't see my magical name. Oh wait, Demas 30. Yeah, so that's the name I was born with. Obviously. So.
Perfect. All right, and where people might have seen your work, where can people might recognize you from?
If anyone at Silverline has this Red Fire Rush, that is my work. I am working on a new series, Obsoletes, for Silverline, which I am just close enough to being halfway through this first issue. And then I also do Godlians, which you can find on Webtoons and my own. So you can find me on Facebook or whatever. If you watch Silverline enough, you've probably seen me. I mean, I think that's the thing most people say when they turn on Silverline. Like, oh, look at that guy again. So, yeah.
All right. And also joining our Tuesday cast is Mr. Quentin Bedwell.
Quentin Bedwell. I am currently penciling and inking the third book of Trump's. Places where I'm at, Facebook and DeviantArt. You may have seen my artwork in bathroom stalls across America. So there's also Relic Quest on Game Crafter that's in open beta. You're welcome to purchase it, to check it out. And so yeah, that's I pass it on.
Perfect. And
I'll be streaming my screen whenever you do it. You want me to go ahead and do that?
Yeah, whenever you want to. We'll go ahead and do that.
All right.
And we are, of course, coming at you a little later than usual because we are the westmost side staffing of Silverline, minus a few who could not make it tonight, but maybe join us in the future.
Curtis should be here.
Curtis should be here.
He's on the West Coast. And
Roberta. Yeah, we'll get it figured out. Quentin, are you the west half of Texas?
Yes, I am
Alright.
in West Texas, but not over the timeline.
Sure.
So-
Okay. So,
It's 10 o'clock for me right now.
but still, western half of the country. So we're on brand.
Yeah.
Yeah. Left coast, Tex coast.
Yeah.
Is that a name? We could.
Silverline West Side.
Yeah.
We come on all just snapping our fingers.
Yes, exactly. Yeah.
Yeah.
We got to get the Letterman
I
jackets.
can't hardly do it.
I guess like yeah, we gotta have our gang.
Got to get
symbols
the
and stuff,
yeah.
right?
There it is. There it
Yes.
is. I had surgery, so I can't really.
Yeah, yeah. I have not yet broken my fingers using pens and pencils. So, yeah. And we are going to be talking about a couple things tonight. But first, we got to pay some bills, and to do so, we are going to thank our sponsors. At Daytona Beach Comic Con, you can find, or Comic Convention, you can find more information on their website, including exact dates, prices. Order your tickets now. We will have a Silverline booth there, involving several of our creators. Haley Martin just announced that she's going to be there, so
Yeah.
be sure to check out that website and register now to come out and see some of our lovely faces out in Daytona Beach, Florida.
I will be there too. I
Ooh.
bought my plane ticket to fly down there. So,
Nice.
and Florida will never be the same after I'm gone.
I'm pretty
That's
sure.
for sure.
Pretty sure
I
Florida
think
was.
that'll be the most heavily represented Silverline has been
Yeah.
anywhere, right?
So, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think it has. I think
Yes.
even Barbara Kalberg and some other people I
Mhm.
know coming. I didn't know.
Yeah.
Yeah. Now I'm a Pacific Northwesterner, so you do know that when I step out of the airport in Florida, I will burst into flames.
Yes. When I lived,
whether or not.
when I moved down
Everybody
from
bring marshmallows.
Salem to Florida, that was my experience. Is walking, I'm like, oh, I am just a sweat puddle now.
Yes.
Yeah. The wall of hot air just kind of punches you the second you leave
Oh,
Orlando
God,
International.
yes.
Yeah.
Better purchase some Cutter bug spray too,
Mm.
because
Yeah.
mosquitoes.
Yeah. Because we don't have those up. Strangely enough, but do we have any sort of bug problems up here in the Northwest?
Black widows apparently are densely populated in our area, but
in your area, really?
yeah. Well, I'm a little more woodsy.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
For
We get a lot of cougars up here, and no, not those type of cougars. We're talking about the actual cats,
Mhm.
which I'm making that whole analogy even worse. But no, there are a huge overpopulation of cougars up here.
Yep. We must. Well, we have a decent selection of bears that may just wander across your front yard. Notably, fellow Oregonian Gail Simone, who lives on a salmon run, has had a bear just lounging out in her front yard pretty much all of last year.
Well, as long as it's not doing anything,
Yeah.
it's just, it's just
This Joan has apparently gotten to her trash can a couple times. So we are, Aaron and I, as mentioned, we are located in the Northwest, up in now beautiful and sunny Oregon. We're going to have this for about 3 months, and then it's going to be back to being gray and rainy.
yes.
Yeah. And our other sponsor is History Camp America, brought to you by History List. That is happening July 10th, 2021, so just around the corner. And they are, of course, sponsoring our historical books, Steam Patriots, and my own World War II action espionage book, Wolf Hunter. So you can sign up for the free online history camp, where it's a day of lectures, essentially research reports, and just fun dives into some history.
History camp.
Camp. And we have Mr. Boone Jaxie Morris on Facebook chat giving us a solid "Let's go."
Yeah.
Yep. So we are going to be talking about a mixture of things tonight. But first, since this is we've all talked to each other and we have all been on shows with each other, but this is the first time that we've had our own show. This is us. We are the core team. We are the
Best of the best, cream
yeah.
of the crop.
We're
Special Forces of Silverline.
Exactly.
Silverline Special Forces.
Yeah, we didn't come here for free will. We were chosen by the best of the best to represent Tuesday.
That's right. Comic Commandos, baby, right here.
We're Cap, Thor, and Iron Man of the Silverline Avengers right now.
Yes.
We'll work out who's who later.
Later, yes. That's the next time we have a convention between us, and we're going to meet up. We're going to set a giant mallet in between the three of us, and whoever can pick it up first is Thor.
Yeah.
So, as we've talked about a little bit, Quentin and Aaron are, of course, artists doing some wonderful illustrations for our Silverline books. I am a writer. The most illustraty I get is painting, which I have not yet colored a book. Who knows? Maybe in the future. So, we all, though, share many things in common, so we figured what better way to bring the show to life, to birth it from our birthing hips, than to talk about who we are, what we enjoy, and what kind of off-subject diatribes you can expect in the future, as many of us are known for just kind of breaking subject and talking ad hominem for X-Men for a solid hour. Maybe that's just me, though.
I like me some X-Men.
Do you enjoy the X-Men?
I enjoy the X-Men deeply. That's been my main jam since the mid-90s.
You know, it's funny. I read the X-Men until Claremont left.
Mm.
It's really weird. I read it, and then when Claremont left, I read a few issues, and I was like, I guess I'm kind of done. I read them here again, on and off.
Yep.
But nothing's been able. Even the news. I read the new X-Men stuff. The House. No, what is it? Not House of M. The
House of X, Powers of X.
Something like that.
On my.
Yeah.
Yes.
That one.
I also
it was okay. I read one, and there was a hit or miss. I mean, there's
Sure.
stuff I liked, and there's stuff I didn't. But it was definitely interesting. There are so many new characters. I think that was my biggest problem, is coming back, and I'm like, who are these new people? I know a lot of them, but some of them I'm like, I don't know a lot of, especially the younger mutants. Like the old ones I knew, but like I think there's one called Pixie. I had no idea.
Oh yeah. She got brought in Brewbreaker era when Ileana became the demon princess of Limbo.
Oh, she actually became the princess. Why did I know that?
Yeah, Ileana is the reason I'm into toxic females.
Toxic females. She said.
Yeah. Hey.
Hey, well, maybe I'm not one to judge, but if you ascend to being a demon goddess, there might be some deeper issues at work there.
Yeah, just the funny thing is I always liked her with her goat. I did see the New Mutants movie, and this is the Roland out there. I know he's listening. I know that when I mention that movie, Roland, even if he's not listening, all of a sudden I feel like a cold chill up his spine because he hates it so much. That's why I'm gonna buy that for him for Christmas. But they did a decent job with magic. They didn't do the full horn goat feet, which I wonder if they would have continued that movie if they would have done that in one scene.
Right.
They kind of hinted that her sword wasn't her mutant power, because her mutant power was teleportation.
It's she's teleportation. It's like telekinetic telepathy, but it's just her sword is actually the Hell Sword from Limbo, which contains the remnants of her soul.
Is that okay?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yes.
Because they called it the Soul Sword, and it can form out of her body and stuff.
Yep.
Yeah, I always liked magic. Again, I never really, it's funny, I never really read the New Mutants that much. I read some, and I know when they came into the X-Men, but I kind of just really stuck with the X-Men. I did read some of the New Mutants. I knew the characters. I was always curious to see if they ever were going to do Warlock. I'd be curious to know if Warlock would ever, even if they did it in the Marvel movies, I could see Warlock being a perfect character to bring in for the Marvel movies.
Yes.
I'd be curious to see how they do. He's such an interesting character. that one I would like to see on screen. Ilana in full demon now. I would like to see. Now I'm trying to think of other X-Men I would like to see on screen. How they did. I thought it's funny. I actually Colossus, one of my favorite X-Men. So I'll give the Deadpool movies props for actually doing Colossus right.
Oh, they made the Colossus so good. Colossus so good.
They really nailed him. I'm like, okay.
Yeah.
Even though he was kind of the comedy relief, they really nailed that character. I'm like, was that so hard?
Right. Royal Airships on YouTube says, a Tuesday show, explain yourselves. Rory, you're in the meetings. Well, maybe if he wasn't a recluse and was on our social media, he would have also got the calendar update. But we are on a Tuesday show now. We are so far unnamed. So if you got an idea for a name, pitch it in the comments. Right now, we got a couple ideas. The Ameriblaze on Twitch says, "Hey fellas." So I believe one of our suggestions for name was Tuesday Nerd Meet. But yeah,
I could do that.
Yeah.
Nerd talk.
Yeah.
Yep. I was almost wondering if we did like Nerd Meet Thunder, if that'd be too much.
We could just do Silverline, the best of the best.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That would be that way all of them want to come over and hang out in our neck of the woods.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was like I was surprised that more. And Roland said not everyone has responded. So if no one's responded yet, but what day you want, come hang out with us.
Yeah.
Or no, we'll just hang out together and be the cool kids.
Yeah.
Especially if you're on the West Coast or near the West Coast.
Yeah.
It might be down your alley.
Yeah.
So as far as time slot.
There we go. So we were
Jam.
we were on a diatribe about X-Men as we want to do, and as we mentioned. I think this group was selected because Roland knew that if he gave us one of our interests, then immediately it just turns into, what if we just talk about this for the next hour and kind of forget the main topic?
Yeah, that's usually how we. Yeah. Kind of do that. Strange. I was going to ask a question. Do any of you guys? This is kind of a completely off-topic thing. Any of you guys played Gloomhaven?
I have wanted to, but I've not yet had a chance to.
Okay.
I have not played it, but I've watched videos on it.
Okay, I've gotten some friends into it. I've been trying to think of they brought out a kind of another version of the game that's almost like a teach you how to play game. So I've been trying to. I run a board game group every Thursday. But they play a lot of like simple like card games and more fun games. But I'm like you. I like more of like the strategic sort of games. So
I've heard a lot of good stuff about it. The only thing that I have continually seen negative about it is the setup time. It's Mr. Tommy.
Yeah.
Mr. Thomas Formonti. Thanks for popping in, sir.
Let me get some light over here. There I am. Boom.
Yes.
Boom. Hey Tommy, what's up, man?
Oh, just wanted to drop in and say hello on the new show. While my wife is in the other room, she said, "You better not get on there." She saw the picture come up. She goes, "Are they doing another stream on a different day? How many streams are they doing?" And I'm like, "I don't know. I'm going to jump on there in a minute and say hello." And so hello.
I think this is the only new one. I think.
Yeah.
Yeah. The others got new time slots.
Yeah, but it's an hour
earlier.
Yep, we're now.
She thinks we're on every day. So
we're now on
really
the A's.
Funny because that was my wife as well. Are you on there every day? No.
Yeah, it seemed like.
Yeah. I fill in from time to time.
No. Well,
so I got an idea for the name of the show.
Okay.
Oh.
West Coast, Worst Coast.
Oh no.
Yeah.
Man, you came all the way in here.
You come into my house
Bye. Love you guys. Bye.
and insult my wife.
It's like, I don't know, man. I mean, I would take that, but I mean, you live in Florida, so how seriously can I take threats from somebody who lives in Florida?
East Coast, Best Coast. That's what the
East Coast, Best Coast.
I mean, I will say that the East Coast does have the best crabs, but if you eat crabs in the East Coast, you got some explaining to do.
Now, Tommy, are you going to be on Wednesdays or Sundays? Now, I know
I'm gonna jump over to the Sunday. Yeah, I've just doing trying to get out of the kablam to get over at on Wednesdays has been a hard thing to do. And then now that we're moving it up an hour, there's going to be no way I'm going to be able to get home, eat, at least say hello to my wife, and then come on to the show. So I may jump in and just say hello, and then I'm gonna jump over to Sunday. I can do Sunday a little easier.
Yeah,
so.
I was on
And then I'll
Sunday.
still try
I decided
to
switch it up on the Tuesday because my Sundays have been taking up like most of my friends. You know, Sunday and Saturday is the day to do stuff, and so Sunday I'm like, well, I never do anything on Tuesday night. I have no life that night. I'll hang out with these other people, and we can all have no lives together. And
Silverline's No Life Tuesday.
I actually just thought about freeing it up and trying this out. But like I'm gonna miss Curtis and Roberta and Roland, so I'll probably every few times jump back in on Sunday and bother you guys.
Yeah, and for me, jumping over to Sunday would be kind of good because once we get the for the champion Miss Fury thing, so all of us will be on the Sunday show, so we can kind of chat it up a little bit, that kind of thing. Because I think we're going to kickstart it next month. I've got like 2 pages left to ink. I was working on one of them tonight, but it's time to go to bed.
Is the first issue's all in? The pencils are all in for issue 1, right?
Oh yeah. Pete's been done for a month and a half, 2 months now.
Yeah,
so.
I think so. He had to take a. Go ahead. Sorry.
No. Yeah, he's been way done. So everybody's kind of waiting on me. I think Roberta's almost caught up to my inks, and then Pete started on issue 2, and then I think he's finishing up 4. Yeah, issue 4.
Yeah.
And because issue 3 is looking sweet. I don't know who's working on that one, but whoever's drawing that one is doing a really good job.
Some nerd, I heard.
If I see her, I'll let him know.
Some guy in a red shirt, I think.
No.
Some guy in a red shirt. Yeah.
I don't know.
It's looking really, really good.
Well, I appreciate
I didn't even know Quentin could draw. I mean, this surprised me. I mean, I was like, dude, you draw? And so, yeah.
Yep.
Yeah.
I have to
Because
tell people. Yeah, I'm a drawer. I'm a drawer.
He likes to draw.
Classic draws.
I like to draw.
I like drawings.
Drawings.
That's funny because people ask me, and I'm like, what do you do for a living? I'm like, I write and draw stuff, except I don't use the word stuff. But yeah, usually I'm just like, what else do you need to know?
Usually
Come
when I
read
get
my
that question,
stuff.
they're like, and what do you do for a living? And then I tell them and their face goes,
Huh.
oh, okay. It's like,
They really know what to make. You can live doing that. I'm like, well, somebody makes all the stuff you read and watch.
yeah.
That's when people ask me.
Somebody's making a living doing it.
See, it works when I tell people I'm a writer because usually I'm there with baggy eyes, I got my coffee hanging out, cigarette in one hand, and I'm just kind of like crunched over in the back of like a Starbucks or something.
Yeah.
So when you tell them you're a writer, they're like, oh, yeah.
Yeah.
I can totally tell.
Is it funny that every time you tell people you're a writer, do you have anyone ever ask you, oh, can I read some of your writing?
Yes, and then I'm like, well, you can purchase it through Page and Spine. It's my most recent publication.
Yeah, I know.
And they're like, yeah, okay, no, I don't want to read.
It's like, in order for me to make money off this, you have to give me money to do it.
Well,
Yeah,
can I see you write something right now while I watch? That's what I want to see. Write something now. Write something now. Do it.
Yeah,
do it.
I'll get off the screen share and you can get on the screen share.
It's
Yeah.
like, pour a cup of coffee, get the half dangling cigarette, start screaming at a blank page.
No, it's like going to a convention or whatever, and they get us to do commissions or whatever. But it's like, I'm going to commission you to write something real quick. Here's $20. Here, write something for me. Write it. Write it right now.
That's
like,
exactly right.
So what did he write you? What did he give you? He gave me a page of basically mocking me, but I wrote something. There you
Exactly.
go.
Yeah.
There you go.
This looks kind of like a grocery list.
I know.
Yeah, you didn't say what it was.
The visual.
You got to be able to pick what it is that they're. It's like, okay, I want you to write something with Spider-Man, and I want him hanging from a web upside down, and write something like that. Write something about that.
Yes.
That's what I want you to do.
Well,
like when they specifically asked for us to draw certain things.
Yeah, it's great. I mean, well, the visual also of, even if you're just watching an artist do the thing, there is enjoyment in watching art because it is by nature visual. The visual of writing is a man going through existential crisis.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's right. I'm sitting there going, okay. No, it's mostly delete. Let me rewrite this. Delete.
Ah!
I get to see
Crumpling up the
like
paper. Going.
if they actually would separate the writers, like the artists had the artist alley, and then if they could in Comic Cons, the writers alley, and the writers alley is just this very dim, smoke-filled area. That
There's
eventually-
just crumpled up Red Bull, and someone's just
I didn't
looking.
think about that. Yeah, you got artist alley. What are the writers doing in the artist alley anyway?
Yeah.
They need to have their own place, like a coffee shop or something. That's where they should be.
Yeah.
They have they built in like a replica of a coffee
Just
shop.
got some
Everyone's at their computer.
Yep.
Yeah. Huh.
It's
I
everyone.
never thought about it.
It was just 50,000 people mumbling, no.
That's right.
Well, same thing with
Rocking back and
colorists.
forth.
Yeah, they're rocking back and forth or whatever.
Thinking they're doing this.
Yeah.
No. No.
They do have artist alley, and I'm trying to think. And they put colorists and inkers. I still think they should separate those out too. Inkers and colorists into little areas within the artist alley. Yeah.
So you have Artist Alley, but you have the illustrator block, the inker block,
There you
and
go.
colorist
Everybody's
block.
all separated out. Yeah, that's the way it should
We
be.
could do
Well,
the
I mean,
pencilers block, the tracers. I mean inkers block. So I haven't
Ooh.
watched
I
Chasing
gotta
Amy.
go. What? I need to get off? Oh, I'm told I have
No.
to hang up now, sir.
I still, when I watched Chasing Amy and they brought up that tracing thing, I had never, because I used to think my own work, I never heard that argument before until Chasing Amy.
Yeah,
When they brought it up. But have you, so you being an inker, have you had people come up and give
Not
you
until
guilt
then.
tracing?
No. Now I
No.
hear it. Yeah, I mean, but since then, yeah, you hear it all the time. But no,
It's
not
because of
until
that
then.
movie.
Yes. Yeah.
Okay, okay.
Yeah. And I
That's what I
swear,
thought, alright.
whenever we see Mr. Kevin, we're gonna go. Thank you. I appreciate what you did. Yeah, actually, I'm supposed to be. Yeah, I still can't talk about it. Oh, it's still a secret thing.
Ooh.
I did something for. I colored something for a claim. As soon as they let me tell you about it, I'll show
Ooh.
y'all. But it has
Yeah,
something to do with Kevin. Kevin's got something to do with it, and so I'm supposed to do a podcast with them. And as soon as I get on there, I'm going to bring that up.
Well, it sounds like it must be very interesting. Thanks for bringing it up, not saying
Yeah.
anything.
Yeah, well, I started to, and then I realized I was going to get in trouble. So can you delete that, Tim? Cut that out.
Sure.
Oh, yeah.
Let's give the Men
50-second delay.
in Black
I'm the
thing.
one that-
Okay.
Well, you know how like these movie channels all of a sudden start showing movies. Like they'll pick a movie and they show it like all the time.
Mhm.
For some odd reason, the last 2 weeks, like Chasing Amy's been on every time I turn on the TV. It's like, oh, that movie's on. Like
Huh.
I don't know why.
Word.
And I keep seeing that scene, and I was like, because I always just remember, like I don't remember actually hearing that argument and knowing that it came from that movie. I'm like, okay, that makes more sense.
Yep.
Yeah.
Like my name, Aaron. Like everybody knows that
yeah,
joke
no.
about Key and Peele. And they go like, have you seen that? Have you seen that skit? I'm like, no, I've never.
That's
seen
right,
that.
absolutely
Of
not.
course I have.
One most popular sketch comedy show, mid 2000s. Never seen it.
Yeah. Yeah, no, never. So I even had guys, I remember who, like, I was talking to somebody, like, for medical, like, making a medical appointment or something. And he's like, hey, Ron, I started going into the joke. I'm like, seriously, dude?
Oh my.
He's like, you think that's, and I'm just like, all right. Like, does it annoy you? I'm like, I don't know if they find it humorous, I guess.
I like humor, but it really can change people's perception or perspective on stuff that, sometimes it's not so great.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Well, like that whole thing with the inking and the tracing and all that kind of stuff. So yeah.
Yeah. Which is just kind of, so I always found it, what is your take on, so this is digital, I always wondered when I did digital art, started doing it, a lot of times I would just kind of start drawing my stuff in black ink because I can choose black as a color. And so it seemed like a lot of people, could you combine artists and ink? Because it seemed like I've seen some people do sketches and pencils in a computer, then the ink over the top of it. I think there's an art form in both of those. It was always weird because I actually thought that digital technology would kill inking in that stage because you can go straight into
Yeah.
finished work. But I think there's enough of a skill to an inker that is still something lost with a penciler doing the final pencils.
You know, there's somebody wearing a red shirt here that's on the show tonight.
Yeah.
That if we were to go into why I'm not actually inking issue 3 of Trump's was mainly because when I was supposed to, or that was what we were going to do, and then when we saw how the pencils were coming out, I'm like, just tell him to put about 5 more minutes on that page and let's do it. That's done. That page is done.
Yeah.
Because you were doing such a wonderful job with your pencils. I'm like, oh, they're almost inked already. Let's go with it. And so like what you're saying there, yeah, some pencilers draw so detailed.
It's a lot easier to do that now.
It sure is. And yeah, like when I'm doing my own pencils for my own books and stuff, you know, I just scribble scratch and then I just ink it, you know. So I'm doing it, and that's what
say though that an inker that is familiar with the inks is 10 times better inking digitally than a person that does not have experience inking. It just looks better. It still looks better. To have it just like colors, same way. Somebody who's been doing it and really familiar with it, like I see some of Roberta's stuff and I just love it. And I do all of my own stuff. Like I can ink and color and all that, but I can't do it like Tommy could ink it, and I can't color it like like Roberta could ink it. Color it. So.
Yeah. Well, Quentin, you're what I was looking at when we were talking. You know, you and I had that conversation at the beginning. It was good. I mean, there was no reason for me to do anything. It's like it's fabulous. It'll be perfect. And I think I'm supposed to ink Pete on the 4th issue, so we'll finish it off. So I'll have something to do with that, the ending of it there. So. But no, I'm more than happy with what you know, and I didn't feel bad one bit at all. I just thought it looked great, and I'm like, yeah, let's just do that. Why, you know, let me concentrate on doing this other stuff, and so, but you know, it was perfect. You did.
You've got so many hats, man. I don't know how you do it.
I don't either.
Meanwhile, on the YouTube chat, Roland has said it's the first episode of Wild West Silverline, so that's another suggestion for the name. We'll put that on the corkboard.
Wild West.
But
let's see who wins the new car.
Yeah, but it's been about 35 minutes, and so far we have talked about X-Men, board games, some movie stuff, and inking. So I think Diatribe Tuesday is working perfectly.
Yep.
So what is the new movie? I know there was a trailer for Suicide Squad 2. I didn't watch the third trailer because I'd already seen the first two, so I assumed I'm not going to be surprised that much with the third one.
Yeah. I mean, I'm there just to watch Peacemaker because Peacemaker.
Yeah, I don't really know. I mean, I never really read that much of Suicide Squad, and it doesn't. I don't know if this movie follows the second movie, or they just two separate things.
I think it's gonna be roughly following on the heel steps of the first movie, but it's gonna be kind of its own thing.
Okay, so yeah, that actually sounds. Yeah, I didn't see. Some other movie I saw. I think there was one called Tomorrow Wars. Looked kind of interesting.
No, the Amazon one.
Is that an Amazon one?
I believe so, with Chris Pratt.
Yeah. The way it's probably going into the future, it looked kind of interesting. Yeah, I don't know. I haven't really seen many. I tried to watch Tenet, and I'm so sorry for all the Tenet fans out there, but about 45 minutes into it, I looked at my friend, and I'm like, I just don't really care what's going on, so I'm just going to stop watching it. And I like Christopher Nolan movies, but I was like, I just didn't care.
That seemed to be a consensus with Tenet, was that it was like, oh, this is interesting. Is it going to execute on it? No. Yeah.
Yeah. So yeah, I tried. What other movie we watched? That I did watch New Mutants, and I thought that was okay. That's when I say that on air. That's when Roland bursts into flames.
Yes.
So I thought it was good for something. It was like an okay movie, but
It was a fun mutant movie, but it wasn't.
Yeah, there was not much to it. It was kind of interesting to see the
My
other.
thing is this is not how I wanted them to appear on the movie screen. You know, I mean, because usually you got one chance with people, and their idea of these characters, because they're seeing them for the first time because they watch movies and they don't read comics. Their first impression is going to be that, and it is so far removed from what I think is a missed opportunity.
Yeah.
That's just me. It was a good movie all on its own, but
I think for me, Sam Guthrie is probably the biggest disappointment. I like the actor, but it didn't jive. It didn't jive.
Yeah. What do you guys think? So the next logical question. Sorry, I have a cat rotating around my chair. So if I'm looking down, that's what I'm looking at.
See, I got some peak strategy here. You can't see it, but I do have a box with a blanket just to the side. So the cat finds me and like, no, actually I want to go here. Perfect.
So what do you guys think about them bringing the X-Men into the Marvel Universe? Do you think... The only reason I say this is because when I read the X-Men, the Marvel Universe and the X-Men always seem kind of two different tones. The X-Men seem to be a little more science fiction serious. The Marvel Universe, maybe not as much.
Yeah.
Are you okay with Spider-Man being part of the Avenger-verse? I guess you might want to call it that, since it's and Ant-Man and all that kind of stuff. I think it'd be fine. I think the movies seem to be a thing.
Right.
They're following the characters and the stories. Okay, I guess I kind of want to see them in all together. Now, the problem is we got to figure out what they're going to do with Fantastic Four, because it's been a fantastic crap show. Is what Fantastic Four.
Every time they try to bring that thing out, man.
Our own charming Michael Lanning posted an idea which I thought was interesting, which is instead of, even though we all love Victor Von Doom, we could save him for like a number 2 or number 3 in the Fantastic series. Instead, if we're already coming out of multiverse stuff, as we're seeing in Loki now, which is also a fun show.
It has been.
And we'll be seeing a lot more with Doctor Strange. Is what if they did the Maker, the alternate Reed who created the city and went full dictator. Have him be the main baddie, and it's the Fantastic Four coming out of multiverse and fighting the Maker and that stuff before they get planted into. I guess now we have the Marvel 619.
I just think they should do Galactus, which I think they're going to want to make eventually the main villain.
Yeah.
And just do Galactus and the Silver Surfer. Just go straight into
it. Yeah.
And Doctor Doom eventually can come in, but I would just, if I've heard they want to introduce Galactus, I'm like, well, if you want to do that, then that's your main baddie for the Fantastic Four movie. Just go straight there.
Sure.
And then you could completely treat the Fantastic Four as this sort of NASA research team that discovers Galactus, and then they can get their powers that way. I mean, it's kind of, they can kind of set up that story. It's almost set up in there. Yeah, I don't know. I'm the thing is, it's strange enough with the X-Men Fantastic Four. There's not a lot of Fantastic Four movies that are good, but there are a few X-Men movies that are well done. Like the Logan movie was one of my favorites. And so it's gonna be harder to bring in the X-Men because they have silver screen counterparts people can compare them to. There's no Avengers movie to compare them. You have Avengers and that's it. But like
it's kind of like the 60s or 70s Iron Man, whatever it is, where he's walking around in the tinfoil. Yeah.
But I mean, whoever replaces Hugh Jackman, I mean, that's going to be a tall order.
Yeah.
I don't know. It may not sense, especially when they want to bring in Blade, and I'm like, no. The Blade sequels were not good, but the original Blade movie is still a classic, and he's just not going to be able to top it.
Isn't it still going to be Wesley Snipes?
The first movie was great.
Yeah.
No, my hope with
as long as they can bring them out of Origin Land.
Yeah.
And we don't get stuck in Origin Land. Here we got another Origin.
Like that's what they did with the new Spider-Man, the Tom Holland Spider-Man. So it's fact like, hey, you know who he is? It's Spider-Man.
Yeah.
But I think.
Do they need to bring them together in such a way where they? I mean, it's not like the X-Men comics and the Avenger comics
They don't always
spend
run
a
in tandem.
whole lot
Yeah,
of time together anyway. So why not just say, in the Avenger movies, should we call Storm to come help us? No, she's busy, and then let that be it.
Sure.
Why do they have to actually be a big crossover between the
I don't think
the
they
two
should.
movies?
yeah.
I mean-
maybe not. Maybe just referencing or
Mhm.
that kind of thing. Yeah.
Easter eggs.
Yeah.
Because
Yeah,
Avengers has enough characters, and I can't imagine bringing the X-Men universe to the Avengers universe. That's going to be... I mean, like, how long was the Avengers Endgame? Like, over 3 hours just to accommodate all the characters?
Yeah.
If you bring in the X-Men?
Yeah.
Right.
If you get it, you might as well do a TV series at that point and just skip
I
the
could
movie.
be wrong, but I think they're going to sit on the X-Men for a little while, let people
Yeah.
Well, I
kind of
think-
forget
yeah.
about...
Kevin
The
Feige kind of.
actors,
yeah.
so we can bring up some new folks.
Last we
Yeah.
know, Kevin Feige had said there's going to take at least a couple phases before they really bring that up as a possibility. Which I think that's kind of a smart move, because forgetting the Fox X-Men is really the best move for all of us as people on the path to healing.
Yeah.
It's I don't.
Healing
Yeah, I
from
don't
no
know. I'd be
continuity.
I'd be curious to see how they did. That's the only one. Like I said, I grew up reading the X-Men. I never really read the Avengers or any of the other superheroes.
I was never a big Avengers people. Actually, the movies are the only reason why I like Captain America and Thor. Don't shoot me, but I couldn't stand the most of the Avengers. Is for the Marvel guys, I was just a big Spider-Man fan, so anything to do with Spider-Man stuff was cool with me. But and I liked the X-Men, but I just never got into the Avengers. It just never.
It was okay. Yeah. I got into the Ultimates storyline. That was the which is, I think a lot of the Marvel universe is based around the Ultimates, except not as serious. I mean, this is Mark Miller being toned down as far as you can tone down Mark Miller. But that's why I liked Captain America, just because I always thought it was weird that he fought with a frisbee. I always felt like he was missing a sword or a gun.
Right.
He just has a frisbee, and I'm like, well, this is, I guess, kind of cool. This is why I think the Falcon when the Falcon turned into Captain America, even in the comics, I thought was like, well, this is even more unique. Now he has a frisbee and wings.
Yes.
Yeah.
It's just like, it's a weird combination. It works, but it's a very weird combination.
And you're talking about the frisbee thing, in the Falcon movie or the TV show or whatever. It's like, how was he catching the frisbee, as you would call it, and stuff? Captain America did have the super soldier secret whatever serum, blah 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 blah. But the Falcon was just a really good dude, right? So how was he able to do all that catching and
very strong wrist supports?
Because the first time it bounced off the tree, and how did it not knock the tree down when it would, basically collapse buildings when he threw it into buildings half the time? But it bounced off the tree. As soon as it hit his arm, it would just rip his body right in half. But he caught it.
Not only that, but since Captain America was super strong, he could throw the shield within that force to cause harm. But if you're a regular guy throwing a frisbee, the guy's like, "Ow, stop it!"
True, too.
I mean, it's really gonna make a big difference.
That's what I always question. Is like he would throw it, and it would knock some guy off his feet, like make him jump back, and then he would catch it. It's like, come on. That's a little weird.
But you're right. But now he's got a frisbee and wings.
Yes.
That's cooler. That's way cooler.
We have several centuries of the Australian Aborigines fighting with boomerang. So I don't know. Maybe the mechanics are similar.
Yeah, he was such a weird character. I never got, and when Iron Man came out, I never got into Iron Man because, like Tim, I grew up and I got into Appleseed, and I'm like, well, why do I need Iron Man? We look at the mechs in Appleseed and Robotech. I don't need Iron Man. That's stupid. So that's why I never got into that. It just that was completely just aesthetic. Just like, no, I never to this. Even as a kid, I always remember reading, like, even in the X, I'm like, why did the Sentinels have muscles? Why would robots need why did they have? And then Iron Man, I never could figure out Iron Man in the original costume how he bent his arm. If he's solid iron, was it like a mesh or what? Like he's in a solid suit of iron, wouldn't he just kind of like just be still and fall over?
That part is Aluminum Man right there.
Like a little. I mean, it's comic books, but I was always just kind of like, I never understood why the Sentinels had muscles. I never got that. And now they don't. They make them without muscles.
I got a little more into Iron Man with the House of M Iron Man, 2002, whatever that was. where essentially he was in a an Armored Core mech.
They actually they've done a few. There was the Iron Man suit in the Ultimates I thought was pretty cool.
Yeah,
that was kind of more like a mech suit.
And they got him like, I take him as a person. Okay, I'll read a little bit more, but yeah.
The movie Iron Man suits I've all thought were really cool.
Yeah,
it really looked cool. Yeah. So I mean, I like the movies. I like the. For the most part, like the Captain America movies, and Thor was really good. I hugely love Fat Thor. Fat Thor is great.
Oh yeah,
but yeah, and I guess he's gonna be in the new Guardians movie, right? Thor's supposed to be in Guardians.
Yep.
That's what
I've heard.
Mm-hmm. That's
I guess we'll wait and see.
We're getting that on the scene. We're getting Jane Foster in Thor: Love and Thunder. So I think they're going to do the Odin son arc. That's just my assumption. Which would be dope, because then just have Thor doing some axe murder would be great.
Because I remember I was in a movie theater when I first saw the original Thor movie, and there were two guys sitting in front of me, and I overheard them talk to the other one. They're like, Thor is like the lamest superhero Marvel's made up yet. And I was like, wow, so many Norse people really appreciate the fact you didn't realize like Thor is a mythological figure. Like they thought Marvel made him up. I'm like, no. Speaking of this, Disney has actually, and I'm not going to get away with this, has tried to trademark Loki. Can't trademark Loki. He's a mythological figure.
Yeah.
Well,
our days of the week, like
Thor's Day.
Thor's Day. Wednesday is originally Woden. Woden's, yeah. There's a lot.
I guess I never thought about.
Friday is Freaks Day. Yep. We have a lot of holdovers from Germanic paganism. So.
Yep.
Yeah.
That's right.
Are y'all watching the Loki Disney Plus?
I've watched the first episode. I have not watched the next ones because I'm waiting on a couple other people to watch it before I watch it.
Yeah, it was pretty funny.
Yeah, I'm enjoying it.
Speaking of you're talking about Thor being the thing, there's a really funny sequence between. I want to go into the Loki talking about his storyline, not storyline, his what would you call it, Tim? You saw it, right?
Yeah.
Where he was talking to what's his face about
Mobius.
Yeah, Mobius about. About with time, and when once all time is done, everything will be happy, blah blah blah. And he goes, "Do you believe that?" And he goes, "Well, what about your background?" And he goes, "Well, the Lord blah blah blah." And he goes, "But you believe that, but you don't believe this." It's funny. Wait till you watch it. It's funny.
It was really good.
Funny sequence right there. My wife and I looked at each other and were like, "Yeah, this is all stupid. They're just making this all up. This is so funny." It was really good dialogue in most of it.
I will say their choice of bad person is very interesting. I'm excited to see what they do with it.
Yeah, me too.
Yeah,
it seems pretty cool. But I have got to go. You guys, y'all have a great rest of your till 1:00 my time. So I've got to go to bed.
Oof.
So you guys be good. Just one quick thing for everybody that's listening: the latest Kickstarter is now in our hands. I have started getting everything printed. We'll probably have that done by the end of the week, the beginning of next week. So if anybody's wondering where their Kickstarters from the Steam Patriot and Barb's book,
Divinity.
Yes, so that will be in Roland's hands, so they can start shipping it out probably next week. I'm going to try to be done by the end of the week. So just wanted to put that out there, and we'll see you guys later, but I need to.
All right.
I need to hit the bed. Go to bed. I'm dropping the mic. Boop.
All
I
right.
don't have a. Oh, here I go. Drop my headphones.
Perfect.
That was good. Stupid. Okay. All right. You guys be good.
Have a good night.
Bye bye.
All right.
I'm probably the only guy that doesn't. I think as far as the Disney stuff, I watched the first season of Mandalorian. I think that's it. I don't know. I have Disney Plus. I don't know. I keep getting distracted by this. Most of the time I've been watching Family Guy. Well, I put Family Guy in the background. That's basically
Yes.
how that goes.
Yep.
Um,
We
I want to watch the second Mandalorian. I know pretty much everything that happens because the internet.
the internet, yeah.
I don't know. I tend to watch more like dramas and stuff
Nope.
because I can listen to it while I work.
Tommy froze his
So
screen.
sci-fi and action stuff, I always have to watch it, and I don't feel like I have enough time to sit and actually pay attention to it. So Family Guy and stuff that I can put in the background. Star Trek Next Generation is great for that. Throw it in the background and it plays in the background. So
Yep.
stuff of that nature.
We do like dedicated TV time, so
Oh, do you?
yeah. So we're like, all right, and right now we're watching Vikings and Loki, so like we're full on Norse up in here. But
Oh, look! I watched part of the first episode of Loki with my friend. I liked what I saw. She's more of a Loki fan than me, and she didn't really get into it. So she gets me into a lot of Korean dramas.
yeah,
So I've been watching one called Move to Heaven. That's actually really good. And then we've been watching the Titans series, and that one's okay. It's
Yeah.
hit or miss. But yeah, that's kind of the extent of my nerddom watching
sure.
stuff. It's I kind of get into all sorts of other weird. I rewatched the Dairy Girls. I don't know if you've ever seen that.
Dairy
I
Girls.
don't think I have.
It is, if you like, it is these 4 teenage girls living in Ireland during the Protestant Catholic Civil War during the 80s, but they're dorks.
Okay.
And it's just like they're part of a Catholic school. If you ever get a chance, if you like British humor, I guess just more Irish humor
Sure.
than British. Get it. It's on Netflix, but there's 2 seasons. They're hilarious. So I watched that again. But yeah, I don't know. I feel weird because I always feel like I come out and talk about nerd stuff, and it's like I think I read more comic books just to get my nerd stuff, independent comic books, than I do watching.
Yeah.
So I'm kind of like out of touch. Like I'm in touch with video game nerddom.
Yeah.
I'm not as in touch with the comic nerddom as much as I used to be. Not anymore.
I'm in touch with some real deep nerdom. I picked this up when we're talking about strategy board games, but Warhammer, Age of Sigmar
really?
Fantasy. Yeah, I do all the
Are you
tabletop.
painting those?
I'm painting those. I've not started my Stormcast army yet. Oh, classic Necron.
Oh, isn't that the McFarlane?
Yep.
Yeah.
Actually, this was given to me by somebody that knew that I collected figures,
That's
and
awesome.
it's the only one I have. I hate it because it's the only one I have, and man,
That's awesome.
usually with army builders, I cannot just do one. You know,
Yeah. I'm
but at $20 a pop, I can
Ooh,
do one.
yeah.
Is that Conan? That was a good Conan type figure.
This is a Gaul from Warlords SPQR. So I'm doing a bunch of barbarians. And
that's cool.
they're a swarm army, so I have like something like 60 some odd figures to do just to get up to like the 1,000 points.
So let me ask you about your technique. Do you do the wash at the end, or do you like to start out with dark gray or black and then do the dry brush on them?
So I do kind
What's
of
your technique?
I do either very traditional or contrast, depending. These guys have been doing a little more traditional. Basing black or a darker gray. Some of them I did contrast red based white, and then do thin layers working up, and then these ones I've been doing traditional highlighting. So I'll just actually mix in a lighter tone, put over the raised areas, and then do a thin layer of wash over that. Some of them my Warhammer ones I'll do with zenithal highlighting. So
Yeah.
I'll cross prime them essentially. And then
You ever use magnets on your stuff? I had a guy that would. I never paint Warhammer, but I had a guy who did a huge creature that could bring off little creatures.
Yeah.
And just put magnets on them, so during play you can just take them on and
Yeah,
off.
yeah.
That was a good idea.
Yeah, I don't have too many modulars in my army list, but I have a friend who was running a very modular army, so the different weapon attachments that he could use to change up his point values, he'll magnetize those arms that he'll need to swap out for whatever weapon he's using.
That's cool.
That's really cool. It's, strangely enough, it's one of those ideas like, it seems. I'm not as an artist, everybody says you should try to paint miniatures. You're probably really good at it. I've never tried just because, but miniatures seem to be a lot cheaper. I mean, when I grew up, we never made a pewter, so they're expensive.
Now
it's now a little cheaper.
Now it's all resin, and it's depending on the cast, you can get like resin cast, mold cast type stuff is you're gonna be doing like $50 for a box of 5 to 8 dudes. Fine cast it maybe a little more, but far less mold lines, a lot more detail to work with, and it's metal, so you don't have to worry about it, putting a hole through your floor if you're dropping it while you're working on something, or breaking itself.
Or them breaking. Yeah.
Because me and my nephews like to play Alien vs Predator, the strap board game. We have a lot of miniatures in that. We've thought about painting, but I just don't. I've never painted miniatures. So I'm always like, God, because I didn't buy all those miniatures, so I don't know.
These ones I've been batch painting, so I get through them about 3 in 3 hours.
Okay.
Just doing like flesh tones, then working my way down while the acrylic dries on the first one, then working my way back, do the second layer, and then do the clothes and all that stuff. But if you're doing like individual models, which a lot of those board games tend to be, or like a detailed one, I have been able to spend like upwards of like 8 to 10 hours on a single model, just doing all the detail work and
you really get carried away.
And that's when I'll break in the dry brushing and everything like that, just so I can cheat out like chainmail or like raised icons, and it's kind of I put paint on there without actually painting it.
How long have you been doing this?
I've been off and on for about 4 years now.
4 years?
4 years, a little bit before then, but
Okay.
I didn't touch it at all during my time in college. So, but when I got out, I got back into 40K, so I built a 40K army. And once I had that, I haven't really done with it. Now, me and a bunch of dudes have started a wargaming group here, so we got into 3 games all at once. So my budget has been going to resin companies.
And it's real. It'll happen real fast.
Yes, and so right now I've been actually streaming it on my Twitch. But
that's what I was gonna ask. I thought you had a stream going.
So yeah, I've been doing getting back and building back up speed on batch painting and getting my details back done.
Because we have like a lot of board game shops. I wonder, I should check Guardian Games. Guardian Games, obviously.
Yeah.
I wonder if they would have any like tutorial classes or beginner classes to paint.
They do. Goobertown Hobbies is also really good on YouTube, as well as Tabletop Minions. They're both very. Miniac is and Squidmore is like once you get more into like the upper end of using like airbrushes and doing like contrast paints and things. Contrast paints are supposed to be they're the beginner paint they're supposed to be, and that it's supposed to be one thick coat and then it naturally highlights itself. I like them better almost like a wash, because if you water it down, then it's opaque, or not opaque, but it's it has a really wide range from opaque to translucent. So it'll naturally kind of create a shading if you just water it down and put it over a good base coat.
Because I was just like, so do you ever? I mean, you pretty much played like actual miniature, like tabletop games, not so much the miniature board games. Or more like, because 4K Hammer is more like a miniature combat.
It's miniature combat, and then there are some that use. There's some variations of it that you can do, like Warhammer Quest or Blackstone Fortress. We'll use Warhammer minis in like a tabletop room. This is like how I got the shading on his chest and stuff. That was a
I see it.
contrast paint over a base coat.
Cool.
Yeah, the lighting makes things look a little weird, but you can see how
You
I
ever
like it.
put
Pulls over.
sand or dirt on the base? 'Cause I've seen people do that
Yeah.
before.
These ones I'm not basing them until I actually get all friggin' 60 of them done. Until I get all of them done, but yeah, you can get different things. So like I have a earth tone to use on my Macedonians before I put like grass on it, and my Gauls I'm going to put a it's like a snowy, powdery type thing that might be overexposed from my light, but
Yeah.
But you actually get you can get technical paints, which are textured paints. It'd be the same as like a metallic, where someone would actually put metal into their paint to create like a fiber type when they're actually painting on canvas. But technicals just have different consistencies to create different textures with it.
Oh, that sounds cool. Yeah, I never got there. It always looked really cool, and I loved going into game stores and looking at people who would sell painted armies and put them in the showcase.
Yeah.
And you can look at them, and it's like some of those things are just amazing looking. And but yeah, like building the army. I can't remember. I had a coworker, and I can't remember his name. Andrew. His name was Andrew, but he played 40K, and he brought in. He used to paint. I don't know if he does anymore, but he used to do tournaments and stuff. And but you really have to have like room. It's such. I mean, like board games are easy. Sometimes like a countertop, but man, those you kind of have to have like a dedicated room to keep those things set up or whatever.
Yeah. This is my half wall of shame, which is boxes I'm still working through, and then army storage on top, and it's slowly spreading out.
Yeah.
And then I have another cupboard all the way over there.
Man, I just usually collect figures. I don't paint any figures. I usually collect the robot figures. Like I think the ones I have, like I got 2 alpha. I collect a lot of the old Robotech. There's a company that's doing old I can see if I can even bring up the camera. I don't know if they even do it, but I do have there's an alpha connected with the beta, and then over there are the 2 other alphas, and then I have Tron and stuff. So I do like, and the fact that I have an alpha connected with the beta is like, yay, it comes to the stand and everything. But I'm like very old school Robotech, so I try to hunt them down. I like some of the newer stuff, but yeah. And they're such expensive figures, so everyone's in a great mood.
It's taking time to find something from like Gundam Seed that I have to pick it up.
I got into doing Gundam models a little bit here and there, and they started watching Gundam, the professional modelers who custom. Some of that stuff's crazy. Like they'll build extra armor and stuff, and it's like, wow. I thought about like, again, it's like I spend so much of my time drawing that I'm always afraid, like, man, if I get into another hobby, can I really afford to do that right now?
I don't.
I
have a huge box. It's like a tool, separated out box, and it's full of Reaper bones. And none of them are painted. And it's big too. And I've got each little tray filled up. Dwarves, goblins. We use them when we play Relic Quest. The Relic Quest comes with little, the little standees. But but I went ahead and invested in some really cool Reaper bones. I've got a few of the what's the Pathfinder ones? Got quite a few of those. I went with those for the elves because they just look so awesome. The detail on them is just immaculate. So, but yeah, and I asked the guy, how much he'd charge me, and he's like, "Oh, I'll charge about $30 an hour." I was like, well, they'll stay gray.
Yep.
They'll stay just like they are.
That's I have a couple friends that I've actually gotten into doing commission army painting, and there are a lot of people who just want to get to the board, and they don't necessarily participate in the hobby part of the hobby. They just do the gameplay, and if they're committed enough, they will shell out for it.
That is the thing about Warhammer, is it's not just the actual game, but all the stuff around it is so awesome. And it is an investment, but it's an investment that you can get a return on. I have a friend of mine who he had 4 different armies, and he went and took his I think he had orcs. He ended up selling back to a store, and another one that he sold back to a store. I can't remember which one it was, but he got quite a bit of money and was able to do, store credit and stuff with those.
Yeah. I mean, I was talking to someone earlier, but it's anything you can invest, it's a skill to develop. If it's gonna better you in the long run, and so I mean, honestly, getting back into painting, like, what if I were to do some research into coloring? What'd that look like for me? But I'm kind of thankful that like a year or two ago, I I injured my back training for competitive deadlift because I've had to pull back from my gym time. So now it's I've been spending more time writing, and when I'm not doing that, I'm usually painting. And then I have to schedule Warhammer or Total War campaigns around my vacation from work.
Yeah, I used to be a lifter of the weights, but yeah, I that's what put me out as I got hurt as well.
Mm-hmm.
And yeah, so
my deadlift is now 500. I have also slipped 2 discs and cannot bring this to a meet. Perfect.
yeah.
Yeah, I got into the weightlifting as much. I kind of just stuck to drawing. I mean, I learned how to ink and color, but I'm trying to think if I like model building was always something interesting. I never really invested. I just kind of stuck to drawing comics. Strangely enough, the storytelling I think was the most thing.
Yeah.
Which is strange because most artists I know have different varying hobbies. Like some will go like paint and do other things, but I just always was very focused on the comic book.
Yeah, I tried to mix even between. I switched to replace weightlifting with boxing, but the nice thing is because it is so required on partners that you're forced to confine it to class time. So it doesn't seep into anything else. So boxing, painting, and writing have been my life for the past couple of months.
Yeah, I need to actually start writing. I'm redoing a comic. So my Godliest comic I did years ago, I finished it. I've been redoing it because it didn't turn out the way I wanted. And it was one of these things that kind of nagged me. I don't know if you guys have any stories like this.
Yep.
Like I finished it, but people had trouble seeing the artwork. They couldn't figure out what was going on. I wasn't artistically there yet, and it kept bothering me. So I finally said, you know what? I'm going to redo this because I really wanted this to work, and so I'm almost done. But so I've been writing. I have to go into writing now, and for some odd reason there's a few things I procrastinate. Writing I kind of procrastinate a little bit until I have to kind of get quieter in the mood. I have to have silence when I write. I can't have noise or anything. And then I also actually procrastinate thumbnailing out new pages. Like I love, like basically if a page is done, I'm just doing like final pencils or doing it. That's fine. But if I'm thumbnailing or thinking of a page, I will procrastinate.
So you have you have the opposite of shiny new syndrome, where like normally it's the new thing that like you need to do the new thing.
Exactly.
And they're like, no, I need to complete this. Don't give me anything new.
Like I'm weird. I want to like no. I just kind of tell me what to do and stuff. Yeah. But yeah, I do have opposite of the shiny new, because I've had a lot of friends who, I got a new comic. They never make it past page 4, if anything, because they're on to something else.
Yeah.
But that's fine. Most artists, a lot of artists are that way. But yeah, I have stories I've written, but this one I've been doing so long. It's going to be weird not doing this comic after I'm finished. I won't know. Well, I'll have other stuff to do, but it'll be weird. It's been like 5 years I've been doing it.
Yeah.
Like, what are you gonna do with all that time?
Paint some minis.
Yeah. Get into painting some minis.
That's what...
Paint some miniatures, do that. I'm sure Roland will be like, "You have time?" And then he'll be throwing things my way, which I won't. Yeah, I don't know. It's gonna be weird. I'll probably hopefully finish it by the end of the year. I might do another one of my kids' books. Or something, do something completely different. Besides working on stuff for Roland. Of course, you never want to tell Roland you have free time. You have free time?
Yeah.
I got a book that needs to be done.
Well, my hobbies consist of gaming, on and off. What it is I have art, and then I have like a slot of time, and so different things have to make the cut to get into that slot of time. So when I'm doing this is all I can do because of my time constraints. When I'm not doing this, that's when I'm gaming. And then something that I don't have to put a lot of time into is collecting figures. And I do collect figures and it's crazy. This is one of my newest ones. The old MODOK.
Yes.
Yeah.
You know, it's funny.
I want to see that show on Hulu.
Oh
I have a
yeah.
friend
This
who
guy is
collects-
hilarious to me. Anyway, he just looks.
Oh yeah.
hilarious.
Isn't that Mordok? Isn't
Yeah,
isn't that
MODOK.
his name?
Yeah.
The
Yeah.
future is MODOK.
Yeah, I have a friend who collects tons of like the Marvel Legends and GI Joe figures, and I quit collecting figures just so because I'm like, oh, I could just go play with his.
Yeah.
So I'm just like, instead of me like buying figures, I'm like, I'll just, oh yeah. I never. Did you ever get into Pop Toys a lot, or is that just only the few ones you own?
I have a few ones. I have a bunch of Star Wars ones, the World of Warcraft ones, and of course I got the full Blade Runner collection because Blade Runner is my favorite like movie, bar none.
Did you like the sequel to Blade Runner?
I mean, it was okay. the more time has passed since it just come out, I'm like, oh, I like a lot of this, and then I'm like, but I really don't like Jared Leto in it, which is unfortunate.
Yeah, there were parts of it that I liked. It was a mixed bag for me too. I liked a lot of the stuff that they did with the artificial intelligence, like the woman and him.
Yes,
I thought that felt
it's
very
great.
Blade Runner.
Ryan Gosling's entire like character development
Was
good, and then and they got shunted into some not good. I'm like, no, just make this the movie.
Harrison. I didn't think Harrison Ford needed to be in the movie. I
Oh,
just
yeah.
didn't. I thought they could have just done the movie without him. And the Jared Leto character was a little weird. There was some stuff that they spent too much time calling back. A lot of this stuff with Ryan Gosling just doing his Blade Runner stuff when the gas says a lot of that was cool, but then there was a lot of stuff that I felt like he should have just kind of stuck with.
Yeah.
Like made Blade Runner. Don't recall the first one. Just make a new chapter, like a new Blade Runner doing a new thing.
Yep.
And it was a hit or miss. There was some stuff I liked about it, and some stuff that I'm like, I mean, the original, movie was such a classic movie. The fact that they even attempted to make a sequel to it,
for sure, ballsy.
Yeah, well, they're remaking Highlander, which I'm like,
What really?
Yes.
Yeah.
I think it's gonna be Henry Cavill.
Yeah.
Yes. Which Henry Cavill's enough of a nerd that I'm interested.
That's cool. All right, I'll show up for that.
Yeah. But
Cavill, I think.
he knows what nerds want, being a person raised on like the Dragonlance books and comics himself.
Yeah.
His favorite hobby is Warhammer Fantasy and now Age of Sigmar. So
Yeah, he plays some WoW too.
yep.
Yeah.
My two favorite stories is the fact that he nearly missed the audition to be Superman because he was stuck in a WoW raid, and he did not want to pick up his phone. So until his manager blew him up and texted him enough that he had get off voice chat and oh crap. And another one is during the filming of Superman. Anytime he wasn't on set, he brought a gaming laptop into his trailer and was playing Total War Warhammer. I'm like, oh, he's one of us. He's for sure one of us. He's no, I don't.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. He's like,
He builds his own computers. I can see him.
He's not afraid to say it either.
Yeah.
That's what I like about him. And
Yeah.
with a person like that, I feel they're a fan and they respect the material that they're representing.
yeah.
And a lot of these guys, they're not even fans. They say they are, but they're not even fans of what they're doing. And I don't really care much about stuff I'm not really into. Like Blade Runner, I kind of liked the first one okay, but it just really wasn't a big deal to
Sure.
me. So whenever stuff came out about the second one not being, it didn't really bother me. But
No.
you do that to Star Wars or something now, or
Yeah.
Star Trek. Oh my goodness, dude, don't mess with those.
I think the only ones that I really like movies that I'm like, no. Well, I mean, they brought out the Appleseed movies, which I'm still hit or
Mm-hmm.
I like some of the Appleseed movies. I did not like the fact the second one they gave to John Woo. I'm like, I like John
Yeah.
Woo. I do not like Appleseed John Woo. That was not good. The third Appleseed movie was okay. But again, there are some. The Matrix. I'm a big fan of the Matrix films. I'm curious to see the fourth one. I think they should just leave it alone. But I'll see what they do. But I'm trying to think of other movies. I'm a big fan of Tron. So anybody kind of messes around with Tron, the sequel to Tron has grown on me over time.
For me, the sequel to Tron is just the soundtrack. It's still hard for me to go back and watch the movie, but the Daft Punk doing the score was.
There was some interesting ideas in the movie. I like the movie in some. I just think the original one was such a unique look, and it still holds up. Even the CGI still holds up because it's supposed to be that world. It's not supposed to look realistic. I was really, as dumb as it is, when they made the light cycles, when they made them not turn to 90 degrees, that really, I did not like that. I love the fact that the light cycles turned at 90 degrees, and that was such a cool concept.
Yeah.
And when they took away from that, I'm like, no, that's stupid. Don't put real world physics into that. Yeah. Terminator, Predator, Aliens are other ones, you know. The only two Alien movies are the first two.
Well, you know, some of these I really, really liked, but after they started messing with them, you know, and they've messed with so many that I really, really enjoyed, that I just really kind of have a fatalistic type of idea every time I hear, like, Highlander. I'm gonna watch it, of course. It really helps that Henry Cavill's in it, but
me and Dean Zach
ever have a good feeling.
Me and Dean Zach have been kind of freaking out about it.
Is the Kurgan? The Kurgan, the guy who played the oh God, I can't think of that guy's name. Clancy Brown. He made that character, and to me, I'm like, if they mess up the Kurgan, that's I can't see anyone else playing that role but Clancy Brown. That's why I always thought that movie could not be remade. He just nailed the Kurgan, and I can't see it.
Yeah.
Maybe you surprised me. I mean, I didn't think Heath Ledger would be a good Joker.
Yeah.
So, I mean, people can surprise you, but I'm just like, I don't even care about McLeod. Henry Cavill, okay, I don't care about McLeod. It's the Kurgan. You screw that up, and I'm just, I don't know. That was the big one for me. Would be that one, and then of course, I've heard about the new Predator Disney's doing, and I am sad and out.
Yeah.
So, have you guys heard about what they're
gonna make a princess out of a princess movie out of Predator? I wonder how they're gonna do it.
She's like a Native American girl fighting the Predator in old times, but she has magical powers.
Of course,
I guess. I'm like,
the Princess Factory is at it again, everybody.
Yeah. Well, I already saw how they kind of demeaned cultural stories with Mulan.
Yeah.
I just
what if all the parts of a story does not exist and it's just curl do
I think
magic?
the Predator's cool. I think the Predator should. I think that's another franchise that should just kind of be left alone.
Sure.
I think they kind of said all they could say with that series. I think it's fun to do in comics, but
yes, I think Predator and Alien existing in comics and kind of auxiliary media is kind of where it needs to be at the moment until someone has like a truly inspired idea.
Yeah,
that's the same thing. Like how I felt about Star Wars even before Disney purchased it was it existed in the books and stuff, and the anything that wasn't the original trilogy or the books, I'm like, is it really Star Wars?
I did, and I heard rumors. Have you heard these rumors that they want to redo the sequels in some sort of weird time? They
had the idea that they botched it so hard that they want to.
They really did a number.
But I mean,
oh my goodness.
Honestly, they just need to, until someone has a truly inspired idea, just let it exist in the books and the comics. Because even the books post Disney, especially the ones Chuck Wendig did, have been good. Chuck Wendig's a great writer, and the comics have been fun. We got some dope Sith lore with the Rise of Kylo Ren, where it's actually pretty dark and exploring, what makes the dark side tick as like someone who's not a trained properly Sith.
Well, the thing is even for the first movie, I had like the storyline I always thought they should do. Even when I saw the first movie, when they showed that Luke was doing Jedis in the school, I'm like, look, all you had to do for that movie was have Luke training Jedis at a new academy, and then basically as Kylo Ren is a student there, and as he's a student, he's not making it, he's not cutting it to be a Jedi. And through this school and through like underground, he hears about this resurgence of the Sith that's connected to a resurgence of the New Order. And so the end of the movie could have just been him basically turning to the dark side or leaving the school to go join this New Order because he can't and then like Lucas, you could have done him exiting the school, the whole school thing as one movie.
Are you saying that the new Stars movie
set up the resurgence of everything?
Are you saying that the new Stars movie should have been focused on character development and not just cool flashy things? I
know it's weird to say that. I I don't know. I kind of just think like what they do with the Mandalorian. They
Yeah.
should just do new stuff. They like leave.
Well, that's where we're headed.
Yeah.
Because Dave Filoni and what's his name, John Favreau.
John Favreau's
Yeah.
talking. See the petition to just give John Favreau control of Star Wars.
Yeah.
Yeah.
There's it's real, man. And he, they're really doing some really good stuff.
Mhm.
And the way I hear it, Kathleen Kennedy is about to, make her exit. I don't know if that's true.
Yeah.
We'll see.
Well, I know.
I've heard
Of course,
I know they've actually given Dave Filoni control over new development, so not like franchise control, but any new script has to pass by him essentially, as far as my understanding is.
and see what I like about him is he's starting to induct legacy stuff.
Yeah.
He's been putting legacy stuff in there
Yeah.
that Disney initially said, "Oh well, nothing is canon from this point on except for what is movies." And so that's going to be a good thing to watch, and I think that's a lot of fan service there, and I'm glad they're doing it.
Yep.
I just
So
think
maybe
Disney.
there's hope.
Yeah.
And-
I just think Disney never thought they could fail. I mean, they just think, well, who cares how the movie is? We can
Yeah,
put
this
out
thing would
anything
just
as
make
long as
money
it's
by
Star
itself.
Wars.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Let's just throw it out there, and let's
Yeah.
just throw some directors at it. Throw some money at it, and
Mhm.
we're Disney. We know
Yeah.
what we're doing, for goodness sakes. Yeah,
I mean,
that didn't work.
what is it? J.J. Abrams finally came out and said that he had no plan going into making.
Oh,
this
yeah,
sequel.
yeah.
Yeah.
He finally came out and said that, which is like, yeah, you stated what we already knew.
Yeah.
Yeah,
And you can-
exactly.
You could tell just by watching the movies that you had no idea what was going on.
Mhm.
But yeah, it was. I don't know. That, like I said, I mean, the new ones, like the lightsabers look cooler. The ships, always look
Yeah.
cool. But it
The
was like,
terminology you always have to look for whenever they say they're going to bring something out is they're going to update it.
oh yeah,
That right
Mhm.
there, that is like like I'm really wondering what's going to transpire with the whole He-Man and Masters of the Universe
I don't
thing.
know.
I just don't know.
when is that supposed to launch? Isn't that like next month or something?
Next month. Yeah.
We'll see.
So-
I mean, I liked He-Man. I always thought.
I just
I
need
don't know.
higher fidelity on the abs specifically.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You just need this ripped and stuff. Yeah, I'd
His
be
fabulous
curious.
sword of power. Fabulous sword of power.
I guess it's such a weird thing because when I grew up, sword and sorcery type fantasy like Conan and and of course He-Man was supposed to be a Conan toy line until they saw the Conan movie and it's like, well, we can't do that. But I don't know, sword and sorcery really that popular anymore? I mean, I remember growing up watching Fire and Ice, which I actually found a copy of Fire and Ice.
It is, but in like traditional publishing, like one of the best things going on right now is Joe Abercrombie. And even then, he's not doing like Lord of Sorcery in it. It's pretty terrifying sorcery, but it's
Yeah.
it's getting a lot of love in traditional publishing. And I do also have I have a pitch floating out there, but as far as like film wise, I haven't seen it really receive much love, even though I think there are. I mean, obviously, anyone can come up with a new idea, and honestly, they should.
Yeah.
The fact that we're just kind of rebranding or repackaging old content into new things. I mean, it's great when you get something we love and it works well, but otherwise, it's end up getting something like New Mutants. We're like, they could have done better, or something truly disappointing. But and there's just not enough focus to either bring the cool new stuff that's happening to the screen, or it's nothing really new seems to be developed in Sword and Sorcery in mainstream nerd space. It seems to be mostly existing just in traditional publishing.
Yeah, that seems to be. I don't see, that last Conan movie. I like the Schwarzenegger movies. The only thing that bothers me about the Schwarzenegger movie is how much they changed the Conan character from the books.
Mm-hmm.
They drastically altered him to the point where I'm like, it's its own thing.
Yeah.
the newest Conan movie didn't have the greatest story, but as far as representing the Conan character from the books, I thought Jason Momoa nailed it as that sort of, because he was always, I mean, I remember when Robert Howard, he described him as Conan was supposed to be like more lean, like
Yeah.
a panther, not like a bodybuilder like Schwarzenegger, and like he had tan skin and the dark hair because he's in the sun all the time. And so the Jason Momoa character as Conan, I'm like, that's as close as I could see on the screen representing that character. He looked like who I thought he would look like. The storyline was,
Sure.
it was okay. It has some cool ideas. I mean, they definitely adhered to the fact that yes, he was born on a battlefield. There's a lot of other stuff. He was never taken as a slave. That was the biggest problem with the the Schwarzenegger ones, is that he was born as a slave. He was kind of taken as a slave. And that was very, Conan was never meant to be taken as a slave, but never a slave. I mean, that was like his big, and the fact that he was mostly a slave during the Conan movies, like, that kind of defeats the whole character. He was supposed to be the ultimate free man, running around causing trouble and getting into adventure and never be taken as a slave. So that kind of, and the fact also that Schwarzenegger didn't have that jet black hair. You gotta have that, because he really described that was like Conan had jet black hair, and that's what really set him apart from the southern people he was visiting.
Yeah.
Was that northern? So there were a few things I'm like, I've heard they want to make a Conan TV series. I can see that working and not working. I don't know.
Yeah.
I mean, I've read a lot of the original Robert E. Howard stories, so
I think honestly also there is also a mainstream transition from film to TV, and I think pandemic life kind of really accelerated what was kind of happening. As we'd already seen, like bigger budget stuff was being thrown at TV. I mean, last season of Expanse had how much money compared to like some other movies are put out?
Yeah.
So
That was a good show.
Yeah.
Oh man,
Oh,
love
sorry.
that show.
I have the books back here. I love the bookshelf because it's just a constant, like, if I need an analog, it's right there. But I'll be interested to see what happens with mainstream fantasy after we get Amazon's Lord of the Rings series, which is going to be
Yeah.
that. Which
That's another one. I really want it to be good. I really want.
I'm very glad they're doing the Rangers of Dunedain and not a straight remake of the books and movies. They're like, no, this is going to be 200 years before this. Like, cool, new stuff.
Yeah, just do new things.
Yeah.
You just make up new characters, and it's not. I mean, come on. It's like, look, let's be honest. D&D's been making up new Lord of the Rings adventures for how many years? So I mean,
Yes.
yeah, just do. And in fact, it's like, I know a lot of people did not like the Hobbit films. I thought they were okay, and people like, did you read the Hobbit book? I'm like, yeah, I read it. And it's like, well, how could you like the new movies? Like, because I saw the new movies as just goofy D&D adventures.
Yes.
And I looked at them as that, like, I didn't find them as anything much else beyond that.
The analogs are unending. Yeah, it was. They were fun and they were goofy, but it as far as like the Tolkien feel, it didn't have that same mouthfeel.
No,
They
were much more towards Dungeons and Dragons. I thought is like the amount of
You have
I didn't
12 dwarves in barrels escaping down a river. Like that's some classic like player shenanigans for D&D.
Yeah. So yeah, that's I know they're making a Dungeons and Dragons movie.
Yes, will be interesting since the last couple movies were interesting.
A little B.
It's one of these things. Like, what's so funny is D&D is really open to do. I mean, you can do anything you want as long as you play within the world. And how do you continuously mess up something that you could literally just make up any character?
You just do whatever you want.
Too much freedom?
Right.
Is it too much freedom? Is that why it's killing it? Or
Especially
I
when,
never can quite.
If they did want to take something and like make it a thing, you have like if you existed in nerd space at any point, you know Drist. Like you have at some point heard of Dark Elf with dual scimitars. Like he's become a meme.
You can just do all of these things.
Yeah.
I'm still amazed. Like I'm still amazed to this day that they keep messing up the Punisher. I look. It's like Hollywood. You've been doing Man with Gun for years.
Yes.
Man with Gun, skull on his shirt. You just can't get it done. You just can't figure it. I would look. The Punisher Warzone movie is not a great movie, but that whole scene he goes into the apartment building that destroy the criminals. He's blowing them all. I'm like, that's the Punisher. That whole segment right there is that character. It's just the rest of the movie wasn't fantastic around it. But they got the essence of that character. I tried to watch the Punisher TV series, and he went into this whole torture thing, and I'm like, that's not No, you're doing it. You're getting and then there's a conspiracy thing. I'm like, look, he's just a guy who blows up mafia dudes. This is it. It's real simple. You're way overthinking the Punisher. Stop doing this.
No.
He's a very simple. He's the ultimate basic vigilante, man with gun.
Mm.
And they can't. Once you add the skull, they can't figure this out.
Yeah.
I'm just like, okay. And I don't know. That's the one character I am amazed at Hollywood continuously keeps messing up. At least in my opinion, I can't figure it out. So I'm like, all right.
I actually really like the Netflix series, but
You like that one?
it was
I liked
different.
him.
It was different.
I liked it, but also like it was definitely different. It wasn't
It was a totally different take on the Punisher.
It felt
I agree.
especially since they had microchip there as like the sign, but it was very much newer Punisher, not traditional classic Punisher.
Yeah.
So
The amount of people though that want him to fail because he is about guns, because a lot of creators, they like superheroes because they don't use guns. But honestly, there's a lot of heroes out there. I'm sorry, people, but with all of the extravagant, fabulous powers that they have, how many of them beat a man with a gun?
mm-hmm.
So you can shoot fireballs out of your hand. Okay, this guy over here has got a 9mm. He shoots lead.
Well, I think also one of the ideas that made Punisher so much was the fact that he was just a man who was too angry to die.
He was like, that was his, and it was like, look, his family was shot by the mafia. They were caught in the crossfire. He just happened to be trained as a special forces, a Marine in the original. And so he had the training to go do this. Yeah. And that was it. And I don't know, it's kind of a simple, I'm trying to think of any other characters.
Well, that's the thing that I do whenever I mentally go through a superhero, is does he beat man with gun?
Mm-hmm.
Say, for instance, when I watch The Flash or any of that, and you got Captain Cold, he's got a frost gun. I mean, come on.
Right.
Does he beat man with gun? No, so he can freeze stuff.
No.
Well, this guy over here can tear stuff to pieces with his 50 cal. I mean,
that's
Does he beat man with gun?
That's why I'm glad that they're using Peacemaker in the new Suicide Squad. Even though he is the meme of man with a gun. He's just, I mean, his line's like, I am going. It's like, I will die to bring peace to this world, even have to kill every man, woman, and child to achieve it.
That's good.
Think about it. Do any of the Marvel heroes use guns in the new Marvel? I guess only Star-Lord has little pistols.
Yeah.
No one else uses guns.
Well, supposedly the Black Widow movie is going to be elevating Natasha's little sister to being Black Widow, so we're going to get more gun there.
Okay.
Yeah.
I always thought, like, were you ever expecting the Black Widow to become the traitor? Because in all the Avengers comics, she becomes a traitor. So I kept expecting that, but I don't know. I'm glad Disney didn't. But there's a part of me that was always waiting for that plot line to drop, because that was always in the books.
I think that's the reason why they didn't, because unlike Kathleen Kennedy, Kevin Feige, he grew up Marvel. Like, that's like whereas Star Wars is Dave Filoni's religion, Marvel is Kevin Feige's religion. Like, he knew what we were expecting. He's like, he's like, that's boring. I'm gonna do something else.
Yeah. So I liked what they did with Black Widow. I guess I was always surprised that the Wasp came in so late, because the Wasp was one of the original Avengers. Yeah. And even when they brought her in through Ant-Man. I'm like, it seems like they kind of threw the Wasp underneath the rug. Even today, they kind of, like, she was like one of the main ones. Yeah. So I never quite understood. I mean, because they were like, well, not enough women on the team besides Black Widow. I'm like, well, add the Wasp. Yeah. Duh. It's like, so I never quite.
I think it was because I think given Hank Pym's, egregious transgressions in some storylines, they were like, how do we do this in a way that isn't going to
the infamous the wife slap.
Yeah.
I know. Yeah, addressing that. So, do you think, Strange Job, to get your opinion, so the fact that they've added Captain Marvel into the universe, do you think they're going to do the Rogue storyline where Rogue takes her powers?
Oh, I hope so.
Hope they do.
No, I want people to see Brie Larson die on screen, right?
That's something they don't. It's something they want to see Brie Larson die because I think she's an interesting choice for it, but it's just Rogue's so much cooler.
I know.
Yeah.
Rogue is, yeah. I would, because I liked Rogue in the comics. In the movie, she was okay, but Rogue was so much cooler when she was like the punk rocker that was like a Superman, but like this goth punk rocker, and that was like cool.
Yeah. Wolverine and the X-Men has a really good Rogue too.
Yeah.
Speaking of cartoons on Disney Plus.
Yeah. I always just I loved because that's when I first got into the X-Men. I remember the first comic I saw, they were all wearing like mohawks and chains.
Yes.
And I was in the metal, and I'm like, so these are like metal dudes with powers. This is cool. And so I was very much into the underground Ninja Turtles metal. So when I looked at like Avengers, I'm like, no, these are just, they're wearing tights. That's stupid.
Yes.
No, look at these metal dudes with spikes and chains, and that's why I like the X-Men. And in fact, when towards the end where Jim Lee brought him back to the mansion and gave him the yellow outfits, like, no, they're wearing tights. That's stupid. Don't. No, I want the metal. That's why I liked them so much, because they just had this sort of weird underground metal feel to them.
Yeah. Well,
They took that away.
That's where we got to do X-Force, especially like during Messiah War, Messiah Complex, and the fact that like, oh, they're all wearing black and gray, and Warpath is a central character, and he's freaking jacked.
Yeah, there was just something cool about, all the Rogue and because Rogue used to wear like the black leotard, and she would wear like G-strings and stuff. Like weird outfit. It worked.
Yeah.
There was just something.
It worked.
It did work. I don't know, her new. I didn't like her new look as much, but again, it's like in the movies, Anna Paquin's character just absorbed powers. Like, yeah, that's cool, but you need to have her like punch through buildings and fly and stuff. That's what made her so fun. So I'm hoping they do that.
Yeah.
Like you said, now they got Miss Marvel in there. You can send Rogue over and she can take her powers, and we can do that.
And I'm sure y'all have heard the next Miss Marvel is supposed to be the Marvels if it ever drops.
Yeah, it's supposed to bring in a bunch of Marvels, like Miss Marvel characters.
Yeah.
Yeah, so Brie Larson has kind of lost her title. That's been the thing that people have been talking about is, how most every other character they've got in the MCU, if it's Thor, then the movie is named Thor. Thor plus but this time, her sequel is the Marvels, no longer, Miss Marvel.
Well, I always liked the African American, the Rambo.
Rambo?
Marvel, the one.
Yeah.
Yeah, her costume was really striking. I always thought she was cool, and I was hoping they would add her. I just always remember in the comics she looked cool.
Well, they got her daughter doing that same shtick as. Wow, I forgot her name. Her alias. But at the end of WandaVision, we got. She's not Quasar, but she runs on with Quasar sometimes. Man, that's gonna drive me nuts now.
Yeah, I don't know. I think that'd be cool. I don't know. It's funny. I kind of dropped out of the. And Adam talked about this before, so it's not a nice secret. I liked some of Marvel movies, but I'm not. And the Marvel movies, like I finally connect. It's not the Marvel movies themselves. I think it's sometimes just the modern day sense of humor doesn't work for me. I'm a very dry sense of humor, so a lot of the Avengers sense of humor just doesn't do anything. It's when they're constantly making jokes. Instead of me getting excited, I'm getting bored.
Sure.
I wish that wasn't the case, but it's like I don't find your jokes funny, but the action's cool, I guess. Yeah.
I can dig it, but yeah, it is a slightly different sense of humor. If anyone follows my Instagram, I'm very much into absurdist humor. My stories share a lot of clickhole and random stuff. But it's definitely a lot of. I think what really made me stick with and not fully immigrate to smaller print comics and only indies, but made me stick around with Marvel and a little bit DC is the fact that there is a level of interconnectedness that, if done well, feels like a mythology. Like it feels like, and I think the movies have really kind of done that well for me, and that's why I like them. Is it feels like this is the mythology of modern America.
Yeah, they've done a pretty good. I'm the one that like the Zack Snyder Justice League movies, which I know usually I say that the internet explodes. But I finally I was trying to figure out why do I like those more than the Avengers, and I think it's because when I started getting into comics, they were going through that dark phase, like the Dark Knight Returns. The
Yeah.
Watchmen, all this stuff. So everything was gritty and dark
Yeah.
and serious. So that's what I was used to. So when I saw like those movies, like, oh yeah, those are the comics I remember. I didn't read as much as the Avengers lighthearted ones, so they just seemed to click more with me. And I know and it's funny. I have a friend who loves Marvel movies and hates the Snyder. And in fact, most of the movies he likes, I don't like. And vice versa. So he'll actually tell me, it's like, I saw this movie and it was horrible. He's like, you'd probably like it. So he'll suggest movies to me based on how much he hates them, and I do the same thing to him. And we usually actually give each other some pretty cool movies.
There you go. Yeah.
So yeah. But yeah, I don't know. I do like some of this. Like I did want to watch the Falcon show, which I haven't yet, because I like the guy who plays the Falcon, Anthony Mackie. I think I really like him as a person, as a character.
Yeah.
But I'm horrible at watching television. I still buy Blu-rays and stuff and like never watch. I bought Battle Angel Alita. I saw it in the theater and I bought it years ago. Never watched it. It's been sitting there collecting dust.
I saw Battle Angel like 4 times in theaters.
Yeah,
Was
it was
good?
awesome.
I haven't watched it. I've got it.
Yeah.
I haven't watched it.
It was one of those things where like it's a cult. I mean, kind of like Blade Runner, where like traditionally it's probably not going to be the best received by most audiences, but there's definitely enough there to make it a cult following. So if you're into that kind of stuff, it's going to stick with you.
I don't think we'll ever get and even if when he decided to make Alita Bound, I was surprised he gave a little bit of a tease ending, because I'm just like, look,
we're never going to
Alita Battle Angel is humongous. There was so much story. Like, I'm like, like people like, you want to make a sequel? I'm like, dude, if you want to tell the whole story, that would be like the Marvel universe of sequels. There was so much to that story.
Yeah.
That I was like, maybe bitch, be happy you got a movie out of it.
Yeah.
That's sometimes I come to with certain movies. Like, I know, like when they made Zack Snyder's Justice League, he did this epilogue with all this teasing, and people are like, are they gonna make sequels? I'm like, look, I'm just happy I got to see his vision, and I'll call it closed on that. I'm not worried about sequels. But sometimes I kind of wish it would have wrapped up the storyline. They kind of hinted at it. I mean, if you read the book, you know what happens. But they did a good job of following close to the book with that movie. Really close. I'd love to see a sequel, but as far as all the anime movies I've seen translated in live action, that's probably one of the most successful I've seen.
Yeah.
As far as nailing, like, yeah, that was pretty much the book.
Yeah.
Majority of that was, there was nothing in there that I was like, that's why every time, like, a big Akira fan, like, we're going to make an Akira live action. I'm like, no, you're not.
Nope.
No, you're not going to make that. And there's no reason to make it. That's one of the all-time classic animated movies.
Yes.
Don't touch it. Stop it.
Yep.
I know a lot of people are real crazy about that Akira.
I mean, if they can,
I've never seen it.
I mean, it's one of the sayings where if the most modern take to it would be like the Red Line movie, where if you just kind of stumble upon it, you're like, oh, this is the greatest thing ever, and you never leave it, even though it.
Red Line is a cool movie.
Yeah. It gets the same thing where there's enough there where to develop that cult following where even if it's not most suited for traditional audiences, if that's your thing, it's the best encapsulation of that thing.
And you may not like Akira if you see it. The one thing I will say, if you haven't seen Akira, the fact that the entire movie is animated as well as it is, and it was literally all done by hand, still shows the achievement of Marvel.
Oh yeah.
I mean, there was Disney cannot top what these people did. The animation, and it's still so well animated that there's nothing I feel that's come out yet that's topped it. I mean, like, the amount of stuff that moves and the way they do, it's just like, it's unreal. It's like the fact this is all hand done. I'm like, okay, that's hats off to you. I mean, CGI stuff looks great, but that was just nuts. The fact that he was able to do that, because I was watching the making of it, and it's like, yeah, it was just meticulous detail and work to get that done. yeah, I'm trying to think of any other movie that comes close as just like that benchmark. And it almost is kind of a stupid benchmark for 2D animation. It's like, can you outdo Akira? I'm like, I don't know, man.
Right.
So, yeah.
Well,
But
around here, people, I have to, like, whatever I watch has to be something that my whole family will be cool with watching.
Yeah.
So, other stuff I have to stream while I'm doing stuff like this, or stream while I'm working and kind of listen to it. And there's some things I just don't want to watch for the first time that way.
Yeah.
Like some of the movies we've been talking about that I've got on my list.
Same here.
I don't want my first impression to be me looking at this screen, not sitting down watching it, you know.
Yeah. I have movies. There's been movies. I think that's strange enough why I haven't watched a lot of the Disney stuff, because I just I don't have time to watch it. I don't want to. I feel like if I'm not watching it, I'm gonna be missing half of it if they're doing action. I'll look up and be like, I don't know what's going on.
Yeah.
Mandalorian was great, and I do want to watch the sequel.
See, that's another one I wouldn't watch. I actually watched that after everybody went to bed, and on days that I decided that I wasn't gonna do this, I was just gonna kind of take a break.
Yeah.
And that's what I did with that one. And it took me a little more time than most people to get through it, but man, it was really worth it.
Yeah.
That was one of them.
Yeah. And so, yeah, there's been a few movies. Akira, I saw it. I mean, I grew up as a kid. That was like, I had a friend whose brother was into Akira, and I went over to his house, and they were watching this bootleg of it, and I'd never seen anything like it. I just this just blew my mind, and so I had to go buy the video just because, again, it was in the cartoons, and this is like the coolest cartoon I'd ever seen. And for years watching Akira, I really never knew much about what was going on, just it looked cool, and the red motorcycle is iconic, Kaneda's motorcycle. It wasn't until years later that I started being, okay, now I figure out what's going on. But as a kid, I never knew. I just knew that motorcycle was badass, dude, you know, and all that stuff.
I even though it still needs some love, it needs some fixing, but Cyberpunk 77, the fact that one of the motorcycles you can get is the Akira motorcycle, it just I made me so happy.
They're putting that back on the PlayStation. They said they're going to be fixing bugs. I don't know if it's still...
The roadmap for the next year, they changed it just to be fixes, which, I mean, good. The game should have been delayed probably another year at this point. But publishers are going to be publishers and demand the Rashada product. But yeah, it'll be interesting to see once it gets re-released as, you know, ideally a finished game.
Yeah, I never played it because of all the bugs, and I was kind of bummed. I was actually kind of looking forward to that new Dungeons & Dragons game that came out,
Dark Alliance. Yeah, I played Dark Alliance
with friends, and everybody said it's just not even worth. I'm like,
unfortunately, I opened up my YouTube the day of release. The first thing I saw was a recommended video saying like, Dungeons & Dragons Dark Alliance is a steaming pile. I'm like, oh no.
Yeah. They don't get many of these 4-player dungeon crawlers, which are super fun, like the Gauntlet type ones. But yeah, I don't know. I heard some. Is it on Game Pass? Do you know? I keep hearing people say it's on there. Yeah. If it's on Game Pass and it's free to download, I might just download it. Whatever.
I mean, Divinity. Oh my gosh, Divinity 2. Was still kind of what I think of modern dungeon crawlers, the bar for what they should look like. Yeah.
Yeah, so I know my friend wanted to play out. Did you ever play the Outriders game?
I have not. I've heard that I should because I'm into Destiny and it's that same sort of looter thing. Yeah,
I played a little bit. It was kind of fun. It was made by the guys who made Bulletstorm.
Yes,
which is really fun. So yeah, I was kind of bummed. I was kind of hoping that I kind of had a feeling that D&D 1 wasn't going to be good, but again, there's always that little part of me. It's like, yeah, but they're gonna. No, they didn't.
Yeah.
Oh well, maybe if they fix it or something, then it'll be better or whatever. But as of right now, it's not good. Oh well.
The last game I think I played besides ESO, I was playing Elder Scrolls Online, and the only reason why I try to stay away from MMOs just because
they suck your life.
They take so much time.
Yeah, they're definitely.
but a friend of mine got me into it, and then he left, and I was still there. I
Yep.
was still there like 2 years later.
Holding the
Man.
bag. Yeah.
Yeah, but the last one that I played, nothing like any of the ones y'all mentioned. It's Ghost Recon Breakpoint.
Yes.
Oh, yes.
Yeah,
That
yeah.
game has been through all kinds of changes. Holy moly. They have done so many changes with that game. But the last time I played it, it's been several months now. They did a huge update and they took away, like, you can play it with the leveling weapons and stuff like that, or you can not play with that stuff. But that was a really good game. I liked Wildlands as well. There was some issues with it and stuff, but I'm not a stickler like a lot of people. As far as how people talk about loading issues and load
Sure.
pops and frames going down. I'm glad those
Yeah.
people are in the world that can see faster than 30 frames per second.
I can't figure it out. Yeah.
Yeah.
But me, I mean, I'm glad they're there because they force companies to make better products. But at the same time, I kind of like the way I am because I can actually enjoy games a
Yes.
little bit more than I think
Yeah.
most people can, just because I don't really see it. I mean, I guess maybe because if I get something good out of it, it's already went past my expectations. The way
Yeah.
they push stuff out now, I don't expect any games to be.
Yeah.
Most games nowadays they just push them out before they're done, and then they
Yeah.
charge you all this money, for DLC that should have been in the game.
Yeah.
Yeah.
To start with. It's just gotten worse and worse anymore. So I really have to say that since I've not been gaming as much and I've been doing more art, I've lost a lot less sleep because I tell you, I would really get upset about stuff they would do with games, and I'm glad I wasn't really around for the Cyberpunk game.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, that's
I never got, and I always liked the really weird. I always liked, even in PlayStation, I always liked the weird games. Any game that was attempting to try something new,
Mhm.
something I'd never seen before, that's the game I would gravitate. Even if the game was bad, technically. Like, I remember when the original PlayStation 4 Lara came out, everyone hated the Dragon game. I thought it was fun that you could fly with the dragon with the controller. And once I kind of got it down, I was like, oh, this is kind of fun or whatever. Okay. So I'm like, as long as I'm having some sort of amount of fun, I don't care what people say.
Sure.
Like this, I'm like, okay, you can, I'm just going to fly with my little dragon
Yeah.
and do, and there was another game in Dark Sector where the same thing, you threw like this glaive, this like spinning, and you could control it. And I had so
yeah.
much fun cutting people's heads off and stuff with
Yeah.
that. I was like, I didn't care. But the frames per second, I can't see it. I mean, I know people say it's a 60 frames a second. I know it's smoother. I can feel a little bit now. I got an Xbox One S, and so there's a few games I'm starting to feel a little bit of like that smoothness. But again, you're talking to somebody who grew up with the 8-bit stuff. I mean, I was used to stuff like blinking and reappearing in frames off screen. So I mean, 60 frames a second. It's like my eyes have adapted, to
Yeah.
that.
So is there still a shortage on the PS5? I mean, I
think
just
so.
really have not
Yeah.
been in it.
They
for a
said
while.
Biden actually said that a few months ago that there's been a chip shortage. Now I don't know.
Yeah.
I think there's a chip shortage because of the lack of workers in factories due to COVID. I think that's what it was.
Yeah. So GPUs right now are stupid expensive if you're getting a graphics card for your PC. Yeah.
Yeah, so that's kind of what's affecting the PlayStation 5. It's not the fact that they just can't get it done. They're not able to get the components to make it. So yeah. It's still pretty rare. My friend
Froze
got
up
one.
for me.
Yeah.
Oh, Quentin froze for us. I can still see Aaron.
Yep.
Okay. Well,
We're gonna come back.
we won't come back, but it is. Oh no, Quentin's dead. Quentin has died, and it is actually 10 p.m. on left coast to best coast. This has been your Unnamed Tuesday show. Figured now's about as good time as any to call it an end, since one of us has since departed for the ether. Aaron,
He's trying to come back.
he's trying to come back. Yeah, I don't know if he will, but we'll see how this goes. Yeah, he has until the end of our outros. Aaron, who are you? Where can people find you? What you got coming up?
You can find me on Facebook, Humphreys Illustration, and you can Aaron Humphreys. Instagram at ALH3810 is my handle. Webtoons I post in Goblins. I've literally caught up to the newest episode of Goblins, so it might be kind of longer than intervals, but I'll get it posted. It's pretty much generally where you can find me. I don't do the Twitter that much. I don't do TikTok yet. I'm so absent-minded with social media that I have a hard enough time keeping up with Facebook and Instagram. Adding more, I don't know if it'd be worth it. I don't think you'd find much from me posting on there.
That's fair.
So, but yeah, that's where you can find me. And then as far as stuff coming up, I know the Obsoletes is eventually coming up. Hopefully towards the end of the year, we'll see more on that. And that's what I got coming up as far as Silverline stuff.
All right.
And I think the third issue of Fire Rush should be kickstarted or coming out soon too.
Sounds good.
So, and Quentin is that.
Quentin.
Well, that's exactly why Quentin left, because you were going to ask him where you can find him.
Exactly.
He got out of here.
Yep. I'm Tim TK, associate editor at Silverline. You can find me running the Silverline blog. I'm on pretty much every social media at Tim TK Writer. I'm on TikTok, but I don't really post TikToks in a while. I should make more content. Most of my Instagram has been memes and painting. You can find me on Twitch at AgroBacon, where I stream mostly painting now, as well as Destiny and some other games. And coming up later this year, I believe, is going to be Wolf Hunter issue number 1. And I also have some other pitches floating in the ether, so maybe if those get picked up, we'll see something more on that avenue. Gonna give Quentin here.
Apparently Quentin left. I don't blame him.
Yep.
I've seen us. But apparently he's trying to come back in.
Yes. He may come back. In the chat, Roland says, "Great inaugural show. Thank you, Mr. Bossman." Quinn is gone. Quentin Bedwell. If you look him up, you should be able to find him. When he's not on social media, where he's not Quentin Bedwell, he's at Quinobi. He's penciling and inking Trump's number 3, and as well as several other books coming up. And you might even be able to see him at some Silverline conventions in the future. So until next time, we will have a name at some point in the future. Remember to make mine Silverline.
Silverline.
And
I remember that.
Yeah.